Good morning, it's me again. Sorry I haven't posted. Well, I shouldn't say sorry, because, I got sick last week and now everybody else is getting sick. So, it's been a little hectic. I've been having a little trouble sleeping. But other than that, things are going okay. I haven't gotten too many sales this month, so I'm a bit worried about that, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it one way or the other, so I mean, I'm gonna keep making stuff and I'm gonna see if I can get John to take it up. But we don't have much time left in February, so I may not be able to get a lot of sales. But if I can get a couple big ones and a few more small ones, I should be fine. Just trying to think. My brains don't want to work. I'm trying to think of how to make this more consistent, maybe more interesting. Um, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna be allowed to put in the effort to do like a script. So, um, but Eli and I were talking about like people filing false allegations because you'd have to be careful about stuff like that. Like, because sometimes something happens and the allegation is real, but they've got the wrong person. Um, for whatever reason, your brain does weird things when you're under stress. So, um, but then there are times where somebody's being malicious and actually trying to hurt you, or somebody um for whatever reason. And sometimes there's a reason, like they think they can get your money, or they think that people will believe them, or they're trying to get attention. But um, either way, it's a real problem, and you just never know who's gonna get falsely accused of something. Because we were talking about found out that somebody related to one of the YouTubers that I follow has been accused of abusing children, and I don't know, the people I follow are distancing from that person, so it's like they know that, yeah, they're gonna wait until they find out what's really going on, because you just don't know these days. Um that stuff happens. So we got to talking about, well, what if it's fake? Because sometimes it is, especially with people that are semi-famous. You see these weird allegations. Like, I knew a girl that was obsessed back in when I was in foster care. I knew a girl that was obsessed with some rock star. I can't remember who it was, but she tried to get into one of the concerts, and then she was claiming that he was her boyfriend or something. She was only like 13 or 14, and she's like telling him this big life story, and they thought he might have hurt her, but they did an investigation, and there was no evidence that he'd ever even known her, because he didn't. And we don't know if it's some kind of like limerence on a psychotic level, or if it was like she was one of those kids where they got attention for making certain type of abuse allegations, and so they just keep making them to get more attention. And yeah, um it's part of the reason why getting therapy right after you're out of an abuse situation is so important, because your brain just does all kinds of weird stuff, and you may not have a lot of control over it because you haven't had control over anything in your life up until that point. And so that's kind of the learning curve of getting out of bad situation, is that you may inadvertently put yourself into a different kind of bad situation. So, but it happens. I don't know with this individual that got accused, I don't know if it was false or not, because I don't know the person. I don't even know their name. Because so I don't know if it's real or not. And then so yeah, that's just where that is. So, but we did get to talking about false allegations and why people do it, and just like behaviors that people do to like trick people into doing stuff they wouldn't normally do, like teenagers that get fake IDs. Yeah, guys, that's it does tend to be like 13, 14-year-old girls get a fake ID. That's what I've been hearing a lot, is 13, 14-year-old girls that don't look like 13, 14-year-old girls will get fake IDs to say they're like 23 or something, and they'll wind up in the bar, and the guy will think he's hooking up with somebody his own age, and it turns out it's a kid. Those are some scary ass situations. So I gotta be careful. Part of the reason why I'm I'm not in a big hurry to get into a sexual relationship because every time I've let sex happen too soon, I wind up getting hurt. False allegations, all kinds of stuff. And like somebody tests positive for methamphetamines doesn't have the right to accuse me of being a prostitute or cheating on him. But hey, let's just not look at it that way. So, oh, forgot Jasper again. I'll be right back. All right. Okay, he's free. But yeah, we just got to be really careful on how we conduct ourselves so that we don't get into trouble for stuff we didn't do. There's always going to be somebody out there that's whose mental health issues are not being kept in check. So you have to be, that's one of the things in the world you got to be careful of. There's so many people out there just looking to hurt you, and it's not just like one scenario or another. There's like hundreds or thousands of scenarios involving false allegations or somebody pretending to be somebody that they're not. This illusion of reality, this like they're living in this fantasy land type thing. And it's not just teenage girls that do this. There's a lot of different people at different ages. You hear about the guy that's my age and he's catfishing some high school girl with his son's photo. Yeah, that's happened at least 6 times that I know of. It's there are evil people out there looking to hurt you, and that's something that just has to be a rule. Sometimes it's just like I said, like the kid I knew back in foster care that thought that she was dating some rock star. She deluded herself into believing that he didn't even know who she was. Um, that was probably a symptom of mental illness. And it is really common in kids in foster care. Almost always have post-traumatic stress syndrome, and sometimes there's other complicated factors. I mean, when you grow up in a situation where you're not safe and people are presenting these examples of normal or adult life that are just ridiculous, sometimes your brain just doesn't get it. And that's why I think it's really, 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 really important for kids who've been abused to get into therapy, especially kids, because you don't have the structure in your brain to adjust to what was going on, especially if you've never seen normal. Um, you just don't pick up on that something that you're doing or saying is wrong or abnormal. Um, and though it's normal for that situation, it's not normal for reality and civilization. So that's really important for that to be done, is for kids to get into counseling. And also, if you've got like an adult relative who's just like freaking out on Facebook all the time, or um you're noticing these weird things, like he seems like they're setting things on fire, kind of like odd behaviors, you might want to try to get them into counseling too, because they could have developed something like schizophrenia or bipolar, which can manifest really strangely depending on the level of the disorder. um, because there's like, my daughter is probably the mildest form of bipolar, only acts up when she's stressed, and she just gets weird and then doesn't remember that she got weird. And then there's like my mom, where, oh my god, you don't even want to know what she did, what she's allowed, the types of things that she thinks is okay. Don't even want to know, don't want to go there, because it's just so out there ridiculous. And they're both bipolar, it's just one level versus the other, and I don't have any clue why my mom went nuts like that. I do know that mental health illness runs in the family. Um, that she probably just was unlucky enough to get whatever the hell exaggerated form of whatever it is that's actually running in the family. It looks like bipolar, but most of the people that display the symptoms don't go into for treatment, so we don't actually know what it is. But it presents like bipolar, and a lot of people think that it is bipolar. So that's the thing. Um, I do have a niece that I'm concerned about, but I don't live near her, so I have no idea what's actually going on. So I don't really know what to say about that except for take your meds. um, but uh, but that's just how it is. I mean, like false allegations go all over the place. A lot of times when somebody's falsely alleging, they will get into trouble for it. So yeah, you have the right to fight. If you didn't do something and somebody's saying you did, and it's something that can put you in jail, especially, you have the right to fight it. If you can prove you weren't there or you don't know this person, you just you do it. You just because you're not getting them in trouble, you're probably saving their butt. Big time, because a lot of people that file false allegations are actually dealing with some significant mental health issues that they don't want to deal with. And it's really, really common for abuse survivors to have mental health issues. Most of us have post-traumatic stress syndrome on some level, but there can be other things, because the reason your parents thought it was, or boyfriends or whatever thought it was okay to abuse you, isn't because they're a healthy, normal person that's just having a bad day. That's what they're telling you, but that's not what's going on. So, yeah, there's a lot of complicated factors in the idea of false allegations. Sometimes it's attention seeking, sometimes it's this fantasy world that you built in your head and you literally think that this is happening even though it's not. It never was and it never will happen. This person doesn't know you, they can't care about you because they don't know you. And it's not like anything against you. It's just like what I just said. They can't care about you because they don't know you. And it's just yeah. I don't think I've ever falsely alleged that anybody did anything to me, though I've had some things happen where I was told I couldn't press charges. Um, Something about evidence, so there probably wasn't evidence. Um, like I've had a few people threaten my life verbally, and then they're like, yeah, nobody else heard that, so we'll keep an eye on it though. But nobody else heard that, so there was nothing I could do about it, so. And unfortunately, that does happen. These abusive people are very smart and they know how to manipulate you. So, yeah, like I said, a kid in that situation, they're not going to have a clue. And then they're like, I'm bored. Let's just say that this other person did what daddy did. That's really, really, really common. So I guess I'm advocating mental health issues and like talking about some of the things to watch out for when somebody is experiencing an out of control mental health issue. You do actually see things like screaming and weird emotions, and that's a hard one because it could be mental health, it could be drugs, it could be both. That's still, I get that person help because they definitely need it. Whether they want to believe it or not, they desperately need help if they're at a point where they're screaming all the time and people are scared to be around them. Or they're making ridiculous demands, because I don't know how many people I've run into that are clearly either mentally ill or on drugs or both, that are talking about how you need to give them all this money for reasons that don't make any sense. And you're like, no, I'm not giving you any money. You act like you're on drugs. Um, yeah, how do I know you're not just taking this money and buy more drugs? I don't. Even if you say you're not, I don't. So, I have the right to say no, and especially in that circumstance. I have the right to know, even if you're a single mom who needs diapers. I don't have money. I can't give you money. So that's something I'm noticing in the United States, because that's where I am. Is that people are getting very entitled and they think that whatever they do is okay. Um, and everybody else needs to give them all this stuff. And no, you probably need to get a job. You probably need to figure out why you're failing. Because a lot of times it's something you're doing whether you know it or not. Because this is something I've been trying to figure out of what am I doing that makes people not like me? Because people don't generally like me. I don't have a lot of close friends. I'm not close to most of my family. I know with my family, that's pattern of abuse. There's a lot of abuse on both sides of my family. My mom's side is way worse than my dad's side, but there's still some pretty sick shit that's happened on my dad's side. Yeah. So Yeah. So I know with my family, it's just the abusive cycle. It's the abuse has probably been going on for a while, even though people are saying it didn't and there's no evidence. But there's probably been abuses going on for a while because my mom didn't wake up one day going, I think I'm going to be a psychopath. This is something that's probably genetic or it's because with the type of mental health issues my mom has, it's either genetic or it's learned. So she either inherited a gene to make her angry and aggressive and unable to notice other people's needs, or she's been taught that it's okay to be angry and aggressive and that other people's needs don't matter. I'm not sure which. It could be a combination. Because, like I said, like there's so much abuse on my mom's side, so much abuse and bad behavior, and just there's like historical relatives that are like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like the real Harry Potter, you might want to look into that guy before making him a cute little wizard boy, because he was a sociopathic cannibal who killed most of his family. Um, yeah, I'm talking about his close family, and then he just started walking around. I think it was either England or Ireland or somewhere like that, because you can actually walk around the islands and get a little ferry and go places, and just killing random people, telling them he could make potions, and then to get him in the house and do whatever crazy sick shit he was actually doing. Yeah, that guy was a piece of work, and then some author come around and tried to make him this cute little wizard boy. I mean, the stories are great, but she probably should have done a little research on who was buried there, because she did admit that she got the names from a cemetery that was outside of a prison. Yeah. Yeah. So, I just don't remember what year that was, or what prison it was. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he was Irish because the relative that was telling me about him, how horrible he actually was full-blooded Irish. So yeah, other than that, I just don't remember enough of the story. He was just going around that little area just being a psychopath. Um, So he didn't get his whole family, obviously, because there's quite a few. Because there's a lot of us. Like my mom's side is bunny rabbits, I tell you. So yeah, I was just yeah. So yeah, if you have reason to believe somebody might be having some hard times, you should talk to them about it. I mean, they may be like me, where I'm aware. Okay. I'm aware that something is a bit off on me. I just don't know how to get help because I'm in Spokane now, and the only place that I found that takes my insurance, it has a 10-year wait list, and they're heavily favoring, I guess. That's not the right word, but it's close. My brain isn't wanting to work. It snowed really hard last night, so and the temperatures plummeted. So yeah, my brain is just no, not getting anything from me today. But yeah, they favor homeless people, which kind of makes sense. So I would never be able to get in there. I've been wanting to do some research into who else might be able to help me with the mental stuff. Yeah, like I said, everybody in the house is sick except for me. So yeah, so there's like people like me who know that something's off and we do want to get help, but we don't know how to get the help, and maybe you can help them because there's lots of resources, but sometimes it's hard to find them, especially if you're in an area you're not familiar with. Um, but sometimes I don't notice that something's off, especially if it's a gradual thing. Like people just expect schizophrenia and bipolar to have like this big boom, and then you get all the doctors in, and but sometimes it's not that. Sometimes their first symptoms are not psychotic, full-blown psychotic episodes where they're dangerous to themselves or others. Sometimes it's things like not remembering what they had, what they're doing. I mean, like catching them in a zoned out state and they don't know what's going on, and some, because that could be a number of things. also. But yeah, sometimes it's just little stuff like they're oversleeping and they're not showing up, and then you ask them questions and they like kind of get all weird. A lot of times mental illnesses show up more subtle like that. Like it's clear that there's like depression involved, but you don't always get that big boom that everybody's expecting, the like just randomly killing their neighbors kind of thing that you hear on the news. That's not always what happens. So that's something to keep in mind. And we do want to try to get help for people before the boom. So that's a good thing. I don't really know all the reasons why people make up allegations, but a lot of it is selfishness, attention-seeking, mental health issues, stuff like that. Just in the nutshell, it's much more complicated, and I'm not a psychiatrist, so. But yeah, figured we were just thinking about that, so I figured because I'm trying to be a pro-disability type thing, and I know there's some of you out there that think that taking your psych meds and getting counseling is a violation of your rights. It's actually not, because here in the States, people don't know the difference between their their privileges and rights. It really seems, and I've heard that that's becoming a problem in other areas as well. Um, but yeah, you definitely have a responsibility to yourself and your community to keep your mental health issues in check. And I'm just trying to have a healthier life and a better environment for everybody as much as possible. But I know sometimes things aren't possible because reasons that I don't have any control over. I mean, like, if I had control over every bad thing, there wouldn't have been massive earthquakes in Turkey, and there wouldn't be buildings falling down, and there wouldn't be like death counts being reported on the news. So, I don't have control over that stuff. So nobody does. That was just something that happened. I don't know. There's just something going on with the Earth right now. So you're hearing about volcanoes going off. You're hearing about big fat earthquakes. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. Can't do anything about those things, but sometimes they can affect you, I think is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. So the false allegations goes from false allegation reasonings to get help if you're nuts or if you notice somebody's nuts. Because, I mean, sometimes you don't notice, especially, like I said, especially if you've been abused, you're not going to notice that your behavior is different. Or you will notice that it's different, but you won't know if you're the one that's different or if the other people are different. So it's always like if it seems like everybody hates you, look into why. Look at yourself first. And then if you can't figure it out, then it might be a societal problem, or because I know with me, I've always been, my whole life, I've been set up to be the person everybody blames. And then people start to think that that's okay. And then as soon as people, especially the selfishness and the whole world environment right now, people learn that it's okay to blame you and they'll just keep blaming you. And I don't know how it got okay to blame me because I didn't do that. I didn't, no. So, okay. I didn't do things. I didn't make your life miserable. I was just born a woman. So, though I'm sure it's much more complicated than that, because the reason people blame me is because my mom blames me, and then her whole family made it okay. It's a huge family. So, yeah, that's kind of what that is. So, I'm noticing I'm getting a little long for what I normally do. So, yeah, and my son's actually sounds like he might be very sick. I might have to pop off and make sure he's not, dying, like actual dying. No, I don't think he is. There's a couple of really bad bugs going around right now, so I think that's all it is. Um, so I'm gonna pop off, and maybe next time I'll think of a topic that's a little less rambly bambly. Maybe I'll write something. I don't know. I don't know if I have time to script anything. So, but yeah, if you guys have ideas for things that I can research and talk about, because I like learning things, even if I don't know, I can learn it. So I'm gonna pop off, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope my son gets to feeling better, and I hope everybody, if you get dealing with this virus. Know that it's bad and it's gonna last a while. Um, just take care of yourselves and have a great day.